Hi, I'm Larry Finnerty, BCC class of 1968. Grew up in New Bedford, lifelong resident, went to parochial schools, K through 12. High school was Holy Family High School, and pretty much interested in everything but academics. Sports, basketball, big basketball school, baseball, and other activities with friends. Very close-knit community at Holy Family, small classes. About 80 graduated in a senior class, and we've been friends ever since. What I was interested in as a junior and a senior in high school was broadcasting, and was looking at that time. There was a Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and wasn't quite sure how to navigate to that. Parents had not gone to college. Dad didn't graduate high school, like many in the community at that time. Very close-knit family. Wasn't a lot of support to go to college. You had to sort of like fish it together. Mom was a big help. But applied to Bridgewater State, and then heard about this. At the time, it was known to us as Bristol County Community College. It didn't really exist. I think on the crest, I think it does say 1965. But applied to Bristol Community College in Bridgewater and gained acceptance to both. And decided on Bristol. My major at Bristol in '66, September, was pre-professional, as they called it, because I knew I wanted to go on to a four-year degree. I didn't know if broadcasting would work out. We had to see how the writing and the communication skills worked out, but that's what my intent was. The early years at BCC, you were pretty much a pioneer. You had to put up with what it was. Everybody was in the same boat. You'd have a class downtown, so to speak, across from the Bank Street Armory. And your next class could be at what I recall being called St. William's in the South End. And of course, navigating to the South End, there was a favorite forward police officer who used to assist us in getting there in a slower rate than we wanted to get there. So after a few speeding tickets, we slowed down. But it was interesting because everybody was in the same boat and you were learning. And there was a great faculty. I have great memories of the faculty over there. People who I still don't know them by their first names, except for Jules Reichenbusch. But some great teachers who really helped those who were going to college for the first time in their family. So you didn't have anybody else to confer with at home. Certainly not to help you with the schoolwork, but not to also help you navigate what was important and what wasn't important. They were a great faculty. I graduated in 2 years and went to SMU at the time, or SMTI. That name changed very often, and went there. And in between, I took a year and went into the Army Reserves, and went on active duty in '69. Came back and finished up at SMU in 1971 with a BA in history. After SMU, I had the degree in history, which is sort of a dime a dozen unless you're going to go on and teach at college, and entered the education field and taught at an elementary school not too far from downtown New Bedford. It was called St. James School before it combined with St. James, St. John. Building is still there. It was across from the Moss Twist Drill, and it was a K-8 school. Taught the 6th grade there. After 1 year at the parochial school, it's tough to get by on a parochial school salary. So we looked to the public schools and gained certification. Taught elementary school at the Phillips Avenue School, which just recently closed a couple of years ago to open up for the Lincoln School. It's on Ashley Boulevard in Phillips Avenue. And taught the 6th grade there for two years. Then came to Kearney Academy when the year before Kearney Academy opened in the County Street School, which is in the administration building on the 2nd floor, or was. And then we opened the Kearney Academy across the street in 1977. Taught there for 2 years, and then went to Keith Junior High School at the time as a guidance counselor. I was at Keith for about 10 years as a guidance counselor, 7th and 8th grade at the time, and then became the director of special education for the school district for about 14 years, and then assistant superintendent for special services my last 6 years. So it was a long 35-year trek in the system. The educational track in the educational field certainly leads you to other certifications and degrees and preparation, so that after a few years in the elementary school, enrolled in a master's program at Bridgewater State. I have my master's degree in guidance and counseling from Bridgewater, and then what's called a Certificate of Advanced Graduate Study, or a CAGS, at Bridgewater in Educational Leadership, and then a doctorate in education from UMass Boston in, I think, 2002. For the last 6 years as assistant superintendent. That credential is pretty much a requirement as you move through the educational administration. Mm-hmm. I retired in June of 2008 from the school department after 35 years, and that was an off year for election, so there was no municipal election that year. Started thinking about it the next year, 2009, about a run for school committee. And I was very interested because I didn't feel that I had achieved everything I wanted to. You really don't ever arrive. You just continue to strive on the journey. But there were still some things that I thought I could contribute to. I had sat on the other side of the table and seen policies passed and questions asked and discussions held, and felt that I could contribute, and felt that I hadn't done enough also. I felt I had an obligation, because I do know the system, and I do know where we need to improve, and there's many areas in which we need to improve. So I ran for election in 2009 and was successful, and I've been on the school committee now for a little over 2 years. But I've seen many students who have left high school, and you know it's not because of intelligence, because of some struggles they may be having with family or economics or other social issues. It has nothing to do with intelligence, and the light goes on at 20 or 21. They need that lifeline, and BCC has always been that lifeline.